Hi, this is Pete Denny from brumAI. This is a quick introductory video to the study group that we're going to be running on the FastAI topic starting September the 12th for 7 weeks. Would you like to be able to use deep learning at work? Are you a programmer now and you'd like to be able to add deep learning to your resume, to be able to use it to solve real world problems like classifying data, classifying images and building recommender systems? So that if so, good, you've come to the right place. That's exactly what we're going to cover in this study group. So one of the big things that we're going to be focusing on is trying to get to a point where we can be a deep learning practitioner by the time that we finish this course. And that's possible, actually. If we stick to the plan as it's been put together, we will be a deep learning practitioner by the end of this course. Isn't that awesome? Now let's start by defining some of our terms. Practitioner, by that we mean we're able to build things like image recognition and prediction systems and recommender systems to a world-class level, right? So that means at the state of the art. And I realise that's a bold claim, but that is the claim that the course makes. And what do we mean by finished, right? So if you finish the course, you'll be a deep learning practitioner. By finished, here I'm using the Salman Khan definition from Khan Academy. You've finished when you've understood the concepts, right? When you've done the exercises, you've read the theory, and you understand what you're doing. Now that doesn't mean that you need to understand all of the calculus and how to derive gradient descent from first principles. It means that you understand that when I use this function and when I import this class and I do this thing, it gets these results. Once you've done that, you've finished. Once you've finished all of those things, you will then be able to achieve amazing results which are, kind of at the level of the state of the art. We're going to be using the FastAI course. Now this is some courseware that has been developed and run many times before by a guy who I'll introduce in a second. He's an amazing chap. But in brumAI, we've done many online courses from Andrew Ng. He's done quite a few courses on Coursera. We've done the MIT OpenCourseWare. We've done the Berkeley have released some courses, and of course the Udacity Nano degrees. Between us, we've done many of them, and this is the one that comes most highly recommended. FastAI. It's a top-down rather than bottom-up course, and what we mean by that is you don't need to understand linear algebra in any depth. You don't need to be able to derive backpropagation by yourself and understand all the maths behind that. This starts at the top with here are the libraries, here are the top level concepts, here's how you get started, and within an hour you'll be training your first model. It's been invented by this guy called Jeremy Howard, who is just an all-round top bloke. He was #1 competitor on Kaggle. He scored the most points on Kaggle. Kaggle is a place for data science competitions. He got the best results. He was #1. He ended up being president of Kaggle. He's also a serial entrepreneur, and he now is a fellow at San Francisco University, where he does, amongst other things, teach FastAI and do research into deep learning. If you want to know more about this guy, Lex Friedman, who runs one of the best podcasts in the world, interviewed Jeremy Howard recently. So if you Google Lex Friedman, Jeremy Howard podcast, you'll find that it's wow. It's an amazing podcast anyway, but this particular episode is one of the better ones. We are going to try and get through all of this content in 7 weeks. Now that's a lot of work. The course creators reckon it takes, on average, because they've run this course many times, on average about 70 hours for a standard average programmer to get through. And so what that means is that we're going to need to devote roughly about 10 hours a week over 7 weeks to doing this. Now that is a bit of an investment. It's an investment for you, and there'll be some hard times and some good times, and in the hard times there'll be gnashing of teeth and weeping, it's going to require some effort. But remember, the goal here is to become, within 7 weeks, a deep learning practitioner. You get out what you put in. So this is unlike other courses where you spend a lot of time watching videos. Some of those courses can kind of stray into edutainment. They're really fun to watch. You're learning a little bit, but you're not actually gaining any practical expertise. In this, we're going to work hard on things like working by ourselves, watching the videos, following the instructions, running the code, creating our own data sets, and after 70 hours of that, we will be deep learning practitioners. But maybe that's not for everybody. It is possible to watch the videos. They're on average about 2 hours long. The first one's an hour 40 minutes. You could just watch the videos and watch them on 1.5x speed, which I assume is what you're watching my video on, and that will take you, after about 14 hours, you will have a good understanding of what deep learning is. And you'll be better off and richer for the experience, but you won't be a deep learning practitioner. At the other end of the scale, you've got people who spend many hours, 12, 15, 20 hours a week, and I think that is mainly people who are new to programming. If you're new, that's the only real prerequisite to this course, that you be a programmer, preferably with some exposure to Python. If you haven't, then you'll be spending a bit longer than average. The average is 10 hours. Do the exercises, understand everything. At the end, you will be a deep learning practitioner. So we should optimize for understanding. Make sure that we're understanding the things that we're doing and why we're doing them. Not optimizing for just putting the hours in. And that might mean that we need to spend more time. And maybe that will mean that we need to spend more than 10 hours a week, or it might mean that it will take longer than 7 weeks for people in that. For people in that category, but we should be able to, on average, 10 hours get through it. So to start, we go to course.fast.ai. Here's how we get started. Let's course.fast.ai, and this is the course here. So you'll notice that there are 2 parts. We are doing part 1. If you expand this, you'll see that there are 7 lessons. We're going to be doing 1 of those every week. This page here, Practical Deep Learning for Coders V3, that page there, that is lesson 0. And in the first week, we'll be doing this lesson 0 and lesson 1. And we'll try and get that finished by the 12th, when we all meet up for the first time. This page here deals mainly with why to use a GPU. What's the, so you may have heard of graphics cards. They've got a chip on them called a GPU, an alternative to a CPU, and they are much better at processing things like images and machine learning models. They're expensive to buy and they're expensive to rent. We're going to use them in the cloud. There's a few different ways of getting it set up in the cloud for various different prices. We're going to work with Colab. That's the one that we're going to kind of support out of the box. You may already be up to date with cloud technologies, and you might choose to use one of these other ways of doing it. There are people already using Google Compute, for example. That's all cool. That will require a little bit of extra investments on your part in terms of learning, in terms of work, and in terms of a little bit of money. Not much, but a little bit. And you'll benefit from doing that. But the easiest way to get started is by using Colab. So let's start with that. So this is week 0. Week 1 is image classification. So when you click on this, this is a YouTube video, and you can expand this out and actually watch this in YouTube if you want. And one of the things that is recommended is that you maybe watch the whole thing through in one sitting, maybe on 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed if you're that kind of a person, and then to go through again from the beginning, and go through all of the bits where he's talking about the code, and run the code yourself in your own Colab browser. So let's go to a bit where he's talking about some code. So this bit here, where he's talking about line 11, print data classes, then blah blah classes, I've got that open in my my line numbers are slightly different to his for reasons I don't yet understand, but the code is the same, right? So he's talking about let me find a better one, a better line. This image data bunch, and so I can find there's that image data bunch line in my code there. So I'm following along and I'm running them in my Jupyter notebook here. I strongly encourage you, and the course creators strongly encourage you to do the same. That is the main way that you're going to get the benefits from doing this course, by doing. So that's where we start. And this is the schedule for this week. So the deadlines are, what we're going to try and do is when we meet up, that we will all have spent quite a lot of time on the lessons and maybe even finished the lessons for that week. So lessons 0 and 1, we're going to start them right now. Right, as soon as you finish watching this video, I encourage you to get started and do lessons 0 and 1. A good way to get started actually is to just watch the first video, which is kind of an hour and 40 minutes. You might want to do that with a few cups of coffee, or do that over a couple of different sessions, and then go back, do lesson 0, which is where you install your GPU environment and you get up and running with your notebooks, and then follow through. But it'd be great if you can have made conducted the majority of the effort needed to finish those 2 lessons before we meet on September the 12th. And if we get stuck, then we're going to use these 2 things. So on the left, that's Slack. On the right, that's Zoom. So Slack is, you probably know this, but just in case you don't, Slack is our online community where we hang out. So this is where we hang out. We've got a Slack channel. I'll show you how to get up and running with Slack in a second. But this is the FastAI channel, which is part of brumAI. And this is the place where you can get help, hopefully pretty quick help, from 20, 30, 40, 50 other people who are going through the same thing as you. So that's the benefit of doing. So this is obviously a course that we haven't written, that other people have written, but this is the benefit of doing it as a study group. Lots of people are making the same mistakes and doing the same things and finding answers to those mistakes as you. So come here to FastAI and get some help. Let me just quickly show you how to get up and running with that. So you probably know, I hope you know this, but if you don't, let's just quickly go through it. If you go to the internet and type brumAI, this is how you find where we are, brumAI and FastAI study group. You can click into that. It's nice to see that we're on the front page of Google. And normally when I post an event, I will have a link to the Slack. So if you click on that, that will get you set up as a member of our Slack community. Every now and again we will run kind of online sessions where we all meet up in cyberspace and look at each other on webcams. We use Zoom, which is pretty successful. I've been on Zoom calls with about 200 people distributed all around the world, and it works pretty well, and it's kind of free for up to 40 minutes. So our Zoom channel, I only open it up for specific times when we say that we're going to do that. But the Zoom channel is here in Slack. So if you go to the head of the page in the FastAI channel, there's a link to the Zoom chat. So if I say let's meet up in Zoom in 5 minutes, that's where we're going. Right. Let me just, how do you play this again? Please, slideshow. So we're going to what we're going to try and do is do all or most of the work that we need to do to finish those lessons by the time that we meet up on Thursday nights. And that means on Thursday nights we will probably split into 2 groups. This is how it's worked before, where one group just want to get together and code and pair program and share code and work on problems that people have got. I'm stuck on this particular problem. I still haven't been able to get this working. I spoke to you in Slack about it. We haven't been able to get it working. Can we do that right now? Or we've built this image classifier. Isn't it awesome? Let me show you my I don't know, different type of mushroom or different type of spider classifier that I built. And then the other group will get together and talk about, wow, so those concepts, why is tweaking the learning rate so important, and what happens if have you tried a large learning rate, have you tried a small learning rate, and just kind of get into the concepts. So that's what we're going to be doing when we meet up. We're going to do 7 meetups, probably the last one that we do, October the 24th. There will be some celebration with a beer, maybe a pizza, maybe some other stuff. And that will be worth celebrating, because if you're still around then it's quite likely that you will be a deep learning practitioner. Isn't that awesome? You will have put in all of that effort, done 70 hours worth of work. You will have had to kind of beg, borrow and steal hours from the day, on your lunch break, over the weekend, getting up early, staying up late, doing this stuff. But then in 7 weeks you are going to be a deep learning practitioner, and I think that is something worth celebrating. You can then pitch stuff to your company, ask them, can they give you some time to work on some projects for them. You'll probably have ideas of projects that you want to work on for them by the end of this. And you can stick it on your CV. You can maybe get another job altogether or start a company if you want to. Let me know. And yeah, so we're going to do a bit of celebration. So, outcomes. By the end of this course, you will be a deep learning practitioner. Okay, finished as per our previous definition. So it's the weekend, right? It's the weekend starts now. It's Friday. Tomorrow's Saturday and Sunday, as is usually the case. Let's seize the day. Let's start now. Quickest way to do that is just head over to lesson 1 and start watching some of the video, and then you'll be into it. Run all of the code and that kind of thing. And I would recommend, if you're an average programmer or an above average programmer, it's going to take you about 10 hours. And so why not try and get 5 or 6 hours in over the weekend and finish the rest during the day. But plan now, when are you going to fit those 10 hours in? Because if you arrive at Tuesday and you haven't started yet, it's going to be difficult to fit 10 hours in. So I recommend vigorously that you plan now and start straight after this video. We're going to meet up at AlphaWorks on Thursday. Again, go to brumAI on the internet, and on our meetup page we'll show you where specifically. But we're in AlphaWorks, and they very kindly offered to host us for 7 weeks for free in their beautiful co-working space. I don't know. This is always difficult when you're running a meetup. I don't know how many people are actually going to turn up. So 80 people have RSVP'd, yes. 80 people are not going to come. If 80 people do come, we're screwed. But never in the history of meetups has everybody turned up. In fact, on average, we get 60% turning up. So what is that? 64 people. If 64 people turn up, then we'll be sitting in kind of a lecture theatre format where we're sitting. There are couches and stuff that we can make use of, but we won't have a desk. If fewer people turn up, then we will be able to organise the room in boardroom format and use the desks and stuff like that, and that'll be more comfortable. But we don't know how many people are going to turn up. So now that you know what you know, now that you know that we're starting now and we're going to work independently and meet up. To only once we've done the work, and to be mainly working on our own and just using the group for support and help and love and moral support and that kind of thing. Just be honest with yourself. Are you really going to be able to commit to doing this? Can you commit to doing 70 hours? Do you want to be a deep learning practitioner in 7 weeks? And if you are ready to commit to that, awesome. If you've had an honest conversation with yourself and you don't think you are, then please RSVP no, and that will give us a good idea of who's going to come. And that will help us to just make the organising a lot more comfortable for everybody. I'm Pete Denny. You can contact me there if you need any help with anything. Otherwise, I will see you next week. All the best. Let's be safe out there. How do I turn this video off?